Hello, Red Raiders, and welcome to another episode of DT Week in Review, a show all about stories we reported here at the Daily Toreador throughout the week. Let's start with news. In March, two blocks composed of Tech student leaders will go against each other for specific positions within the Student Government Association. Tech Student Government Association comprises of 73 senators, 8 cabinet members, and 6 executive members. Robbie Meyer, a junior kinesiology major from Lubbock, is campaigning for the position of student body president with Raiders Empowered block. The group's platform places emphasis on student safety and enrichment during the personal experience of college. Some of the other key initiatives include strengthening amnesty and Good Samaritan policies to protect students, planning and creating an on-campus dog park for student recreation, and developing digital versions of student IDs to improve accessibility, and more. Opposing Raiders Empowered campaign is Fearless, a block of student leaders running their campaign on unity and inclusion. Hunter Hall, a candidate for student body president, said, "Reflecting the values of local community is important to Fearless block. Fearless has planned on creating a conference-wide sexual assault prevention campaign by partnering with other Big 12 universities to promote awareness on college campuses. In conjunction with this initiative, the Fearless block plans on creating a diversity in senator seats to better represent all members of the junior student body." In other news, in a 51-50 vote, Senate elected Betsy DeVos for position of Secretary of Education. This is a historic achievement because Vice President Mike Pence issued a tie-breaking vote that pushed the vote to DeVos. Pence's vote makes it for the first time a vice president has used his code to elect a nominee into that position, according to the article in the New York Times. But many in the public school sectors are worried. She has been a long-time supporter of vouchers for charter schools, which would aid in granting federal funding for those schools instead of public schools, according to the article. DeVos has only had experience with private for-profit schools and never had needed to take out federal student loans. Another issue surrounding DeVos is her contributions to the Trump campaign, which many believe is what landed her into that position, according to the article. Laura Cavazos, former U.S. Secretary of Education and former president of Texas Tech, said she's never gone to a public school, her children were never educated in public schools, and the idea of pushing funding for profit schools is not good. Now let's dive into La Vida. On Saturday mornings at 4 a.m., most students are still in their beds sleeping soundly, but members of the Texas Tech meat judging team can be found practicing before the crack of dawn.
Have to evaluate the carcass as an entirety, and then they put them into cuts, and we have to evaluate the cuts just in a smaller form. Same concepts as the carcass judging, but just in a more specific area of the animal.
So what do y'all look for?
So in a beef carcass, the first thing we look for is the degree of marbling inside the ribeye. The marbling directly tells it's directly correlated to the palatability of the ribeye or the cut of meat that you're going to eat. So that's our first thing that we judge a carcass based off of, is whether it's going to grade USDA Prime, Choice, Select, or Standard. The second thing we judge them off of is going to be trimness, and we look at those factors opposite the ribeye, which is the most specific measurement that we take, and then we look at muscling, so the size of the ribeye. And we have a yield grading equation that we put all of these factors into, and it tells us the yield grade of the carcass, which is basically how much product we're going to accumulate from that carcass. And so our goal is to get the highest degree of marbling, so a USDA Prime ribeye would be ideal. We want the least amount of fat and the largest ribeye.
So what we do is we look at the turn of the loin edge right here. If you can look here, this is very square and means it has a lot of fat over the back edge. While compared to this carcass, it has a much better turn. So this one is trimmer than this guy right here. So the way we do it is we look back and we evaluate it on how trim they are, and then we look at muscling. So how much muscle they have on each hind quarter and forequarter, whether it be over the leg, over the sirloin, over the loin, rack, or shoulder.
With pork carcasses, it's pretty similar to lamb. What we look for is trimness over the carcass. So we're looking for trimness over what we call the clear plate, over the center loin, over the lumbar region, and then we also look for trimness over the collar. And then another thing that we look for is we look for muscling over the carcass, and it's the same type of thing. We're looking for muscling over the ham and the sirloin, the loin and the shoulder. So we combine those two traits together to sort out our pork carcasses.
And now on to this week's picks. The column of the week is titled Go and See the World by guest columnist Courtney Jones. The photo of the week is an image captured by Justin Rex during Saturday's men's basketball game against Oklahoma. Also, our photo of the month for January is a photo taken by Abby Burnett during a controlled fire at Hodges Park. And that's all the time we have here for DT Week in Review. All these stories can be found at our website, www.dailytoreador.com. Don't forget to pick up a copy of this week's Thursday package, Defining Decades. And from all of us here at the DT, we thank you for watching, and as always, have a great week, Tech.